everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Comics! So Carter is not here with us this week, so you're just stuck with me. But since Carter's not here, I'm going to be giving you some awesome Marvel news this week, along with some awesome DC Comics news this week. The sad thing is, I only got one of two. I mean, I could talk about these new Blu-rays that I got recently. Well, we've talked about Thor a lot, and I think he talked about this one last week, so I guess I can just talk about this one. In fact, I don't think I even gave you guys my opinion of X-Men First Class, did I? That's right, because in the X-Men First Class review that we did, it was just Carter, and I wasn't in that episode, so you have no idea what I thought of this movie. Well, guess what? I loved this movie. It's basically like if you were to mix James Bond, X-Men, and Inglourious Bastards into one movie, you get this. But anyways, yeah, that's what I thought of X-Men First Class. I thought it was the best movie of the summer, comic book wise, and I highly recommend it. I give it a 5 out of 5. So that's what I got for Marvel news this week. Sorry it wasn't a lot. But let's shift over things to DC, where I have a lot of things to talk about. So for this week's DC New 52 books that I have to talk about, I'm getting a text. It's from Tanner! Yay, Tanner's telling me this. Just watch The Losers, not as bad as the critics made it out to be. You know, that text is oddly appropriate since we are on the DC segment now, so good timing. Okay, thanks for interrupting the show, Tanner. Sorry about that. Anyways, this week, instead of having 4 books to talk about, I only have 2. The first book I'm going to talk about is Nightwing #1 by Kyle Higgins with art by Eddie Barrows. This is a book I was really excited for because, like a lot of other people, I've grown to love the character of Dick Grayson more than I ever have during his time as Batman. However, when I heard he was going to be Nightwing again, it did kind of feel like it was going to be more of a backstep than a move forward, but that's absolutely not the case in this book. Kyle Higgins, who did an amazing job really capturing Dick Grayson's voice in Gates of Gotham, does that again here, and he does a lot of great inner characterization. However, the art in this book wasn't the best. It kind of looks generic. It's solid, but generic. However, that being said, the action sequences are fantastic in the artwork. Overall, I would say this is probably my least favorite of the New 52 books, but that's not saying much because I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And now it's time to talk about the book I've been anticipating more so than any other book from DC's New 52. Batman #1 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. So yes, if you can't tell, Batman #1 was the one comic I was most excited more than any other books, and it freaking delivered. Scott Snyder brought his amazing novelistic writing style to Batman, really did an amazing job characterizing Bruce Wayne and capturing his voice. So once again, Scott Snyder is the greatest writer ever! And just like with any other Scott Snyder written comic, he always picks the best artists for the book, and Greg Capullo does an amazing job with this book. I can't say enough about this comic. It is absolutely amazing. You just have to buy it and check it out for yourself. This is the greatest of all the 52 books in my opinion. 5 out of 5. Read it. I know I'm not talking in depth about this book, but this is one of those books I just want you guys to discover for yourselves. Anyways, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Comics Comments! You guys missed Comics Comments, didn't you? So for Comics Comments this week, I'm going to talk about the controversy surrounding Catwoman #1 and Red Hood and the Outlaws #1, i.e. the oversexing of Starfire and Catwoman. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain. So in the #1 issues of Red Hood and Catwoman, there's been blatant representations of sex in both comics. In Red Hood and the Outlaws, it's focused on Starfire, who randomly asks Red Arrow to have sex with her. Like with any pig-headed guy, when a beautiful girl asks this question, he said yes. Well, hell, not even just pig-headed guys, any guy. Let's be honest here. And then the thing with Catwoman was, and by the way, this is a spoiler because it happens at the tail end of the comic. With Catwoman, at the very tail end of the comic, we actually see her and Batman, you know, bow chicka wow. Now, I didn't actually read the 2 comic books, but I did read the sections that were controversial. In the case of Starfire, I mean, that whole page didn't bother me at all, but that was probably because I don't know anything about Starfire. So I guess maybe I'll just leave that to you guys, you Starfire fans. Was it out of character? Tell me. As far as Catwoman goes, I've heard the whole entire comic she basically is wearing nothing and she uses her sex appeal, and that doesn't bother me either. However, I can admit those last few pages in Catwoman #1 did seem like maybe a little too much. I mean, her and Batman have done it before, just we've never actually seen it. So I leave it to you guys in the comment section below. If you did read Catwoman and Red Hood, what did you think? Do you think it's too much? Do you think, you know, people are blowing this entirely out of proportion? Tell me, I want to know. Anyways, that's about it for me. There's one big thing I have to talk about before I go. So if you guys haven't noticed, Captain Crazy hasn't been around in a while. And there's been a very good reason for that, because he's actually being turned into an official comic book character. That's right, I am writing a Captain Crazy comic book, and I'm working on it with my very good friend, Mr. Dennis Perdue. That is freaking amazing, isn't it? He's incredibly talented. Here's some other examples of his artwork. He's tremendous. So everybody, Captain Crazy #1, coming soon. As you know, don't forget to like this video, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, favorite this video if you want to, and I will see you guys next week with Carter in a brand new episode of Comics!